All right, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Chris Baroni. I'm the CEO of the Lakeland Arrow Country Club and chairman of our litigation committee. And just wanted to kind of make a video here with the kids and the racket in the background. We're having a lot of fun, but we're more than anything else just trying to, make the best of a situation, as I hope all of you are as well. The purpose for this video is I just wanted to put out some information, get rid of some of the misinformation that's out there, and give hopefully a little bit of clarity as to what's going on. So before we begin, I want to make sure that everyone knows about the dues for April. They've been postponed, as many of you know. We can't force you to not pay any more than the board can or anyone else can make you pay. But the reason for it is, as many of you know personally, and since I happen to know quite a few and spoken to quite a few people, I know some that have lost their jobs and had a reduction in hours or pay. I recognize that. I haven't been paid since December, so my empathy with you is there, but it's more than that. The board of directors is the one who's making the decision. Certainly, as an advisor to the board, I strongly suggested this, and you've seen this throughout. Now, people have said, well, what are we going to do to pay for the maintenance? Listen, I love those maintenance guys and whatever it takes, but we're in this together. And to have 4 maintenance guys there every day is nonsense. We need one person there probably 5 days a week, and then maybe 2 people 2 days a week. Now, I don't expect the imposters to know anything about why that is, and certainly not going to be here to educate them or the criminal empire of Lordon Management, who's still not sent our financials and is not sending the contracts for this security firm, who's, I believe, the security guard has a couple felonies on his record, and not good. So, and for breaking and entering, of all things, shocker. But it would make sense that they would hire him. That being said, we haven't seen this security contract. We haven't seen the end of the year financials. I know myself and others who've requested information that they're entitled to get, with no response from Lordon, no response from the imposters. And do we know why they're hiding the financials? So let me break this down for you. They're paying somebody to guard a doorknob at least $25 an hour when it's said and done. Minimum. Okay, so we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. And that $25 an hour times the 24 hours a day gives you $600 a day. At 365 days, you're looking at $219,000 to sleep in their car, sleep in the bar area, and to not be there a lot of the time. And the reason why we know this is because, of course, we have people that are owners of this property, like all of you, most of you watching, and have a right to go see how it's doing, as you always have had. And that real quick $219,000 to guard nothing but doorknobs. That could be replaced for a couple $100. Okay, this is your financially smart people called Harriet Cohen, Michael Allen, and Hal Siegel. It's kind of funny. There's nothing in the bar that I'm aware of, and ideas that people are trying to break into it, although sound like, wow, we must need to have security. There's nothing in the damn thing. Really and truly, there's nothing in it of any value that would warrant that. Maybe the wine refrigerator, but again, it's a couple $1,000s at most, and quite frankly, pretty difficult to get out of there. And then the idea that somehow we're gonna, pay for the utilities and all this stuff, it's mind-boggling. So when you want to know where your money's going, that's part one. Part two is I think we're paying Lord close to $8,000 a month, which equals almost over $100,000 a year. I think we're on track to do with Lordon Management. And what do? Nothing. I mean, really and truly, they don't. I mean, they don't pay the bills properly. They don't pay them timely. They charged a boatload of money for the letters that they sent out to defame and to mislead all of you about the election side of it, and recall, which will be very disappointing for them when it's ruled. That I'm almost certain of. And then they have really just obstructed business in many different ways, and ways that we'll get into when the lawsuit upon them will be ready. So for those of you that think that when the imposters are proven to be wrong, that things aren't going to change, no, actually, there's going to be a concerted effort to, again, rectify the wrongs. Whether you like it or not, listen, it's, again, you don't have a right to ball up and do nothing when you're being attacked. So, true to form, in all of 2018 and 19, we never had to touch the reserves and paid all of our legal bills. So the fact that the imposters now are feeling that they have to withdraw and steal $60,000 from our reserve account when they're not even the proper board and Lordon isn't the proper management company, we will be seeking legal remedy when the court decides that they indeed don't have a valid election. So that'll go directly and personally and to Lordon as well. Obviously, Lordon was fired back in December, so there'll be a lot of remedies that are going to be needed when this happens. So the other thing is the part of which I think some people may struggle with understanding is how operations within the club actually work and who's responsible for them and all of that. So the club, really, you can't have a board of directors trying to manage a club, which is why it's the disaster the imposters have turned it into. Since they've been there, the pool, the tennis, the bar have been shut down. They did everything they could to shut down the golf. I mean, all the things that David Smith wants them to do. And the reason why is because, when we do so well, and obviously we did because we were able to put over a couple $100,000 into the association when Smith didn't put a penny into it for, 16, 17 years. Pretty sure that's the case. Then that should tell you why there's such an interest in suppressing what we're able to do. And, he proclaimed to be a golf expert, and clearly was not that. At best, I mean, it was expert in fleecing and embezzling and more than likely laundering between him and a few other companies who are very worried. And on that note, just on a side note, that is why you'll see a lot of what's going on that's completely and totally outside of the scope of a little contract dispute as to any human being that thinks they had a 50-year contract. That alone, and I don't want to say it, but I'm straight up, that's how stupid some people were. They actually think that that's a contract that exists. Not to mention that when Judge Mandel heard that, the look on her face was one of great surprise as, Salmon said, yeah, he meant that. They had a 50-year contract. It's just stupid. Everybody, it's stupid. So instead of walking away, which they couldn't do because they've got too many other businesses and people who are involved, many of those and almost all of those are related to the lawsuits. But that's getting some recognition from people who probably need to recognize exactly what's going on. And I'm hoping that too gets looked at because, we know and most of you who understand who the people that are involved in this are, and those people using the attorneys of other people, and vice versa. I mean, it's pretty clear. Yeah, I get it. I wouldn't like me either if I was disrupting all of the very bad things that were being done at our club. People aren't coming to the club to start fights because I can't get a bowl of pasta, and people aren't, ex-wives aren't coming to the club and in tears telling me things that they probably shouldn't about their husbands, and things that are going on and things that I don't know and I should be careful of. Those types of things happen because very bad actors are involved. Those of you that know, I'm not handed a bottle of phosphoric acid to burn my lips, mouth, and throat bloody because people aren't worried about what I'm uncovering there. This is, in a lot of ways, amateur hour. Clearly, probably like guys that had just done it for the first time and have been just doing it the way they were doing it for 25 years, and now they're scared. It's also why very wealthy people would offer to buy my house for $1.5 million and, think that was going to work. And it's also why you're seeing the amount of resistance to some of this change. Now, that being said, there are some people who are what I consider to be like mindless drones. They're not necessarily even aware that they're being used as a drone. They're just being that. And that's okay. I mean, that's not even a remote concern at this point in time because of all the other stuff we have going on and pending. The other thing to keep in mind back onto the club more side of it as it stands right now is, we put a lot of money and investment, myself, into the club last year, and we've seen the results. I've seen the results, and I've shared those results with people, and it's been tremendous. The key component in all of this has been efficiencies and proper investments and our ability to be nimble with regards to cash, because as a startup brand new company who really wasn't able to really take out loans per se, which I think you can take out loans, but we're a little bit more restricted there. We don't really have much of a credit history, so to speak. So that money that I lent to the HOA still has not been paid back to me. And I know that excites people like Mary Woods and Jan Weber and Harriet Cohen and Michael Allen, because that truly is their goal. The problem, though, truthfully, is that legally, that's not going to be the way it goes. And then the costs, if things were to, let's say, miraculously get validated as far as the elections, will get incredibly higher. Because those of you that know me know what, is going to be required. And it won't stop there. That'll be the beginning of it. So, and that's, I know, those that are going to, Chris is, he's threatening us. He's just threatened our lives. Settle down. This is, grown-up world. And that's how things get resolved a lot of the time. And those who are right tend to win more times than not in the justice system. So, not all the time, but more times than not. So, that being said, though, I wanted to make sure that at least there's some clarity here. So we've got some budget stuff I'm going to be going over, and I'll go over some of that again, but I want to just at least put this out there so people had an understanding of what we know as of now, which is apparently there's kind of sort of 24-hour security. It appears from sources that are checking that the art studio Chantel may be living in there at night. Certainly not a security guard, certainly doesn't have a contract that we're aware of, although all contracts have been requested and none presented to myself or to others that have requested it. And this goes right in line with what everyone was supporting, when we weren't allowed to give it out. Now we are. But we find the imposters and Lordon not wanting to give out the financials and the contracts, which, shocker, is not a shocker. So the other big thing I wanted you guys to be aware of is there's a pending legal bill over $50,000 for the month of March, I believe. Now, I haven't actually seen it, but my source is that it's going to be close to that, if not more. And that's kind of what, the letter from Cohen is really stating, which is they've been blowing your money with reckless abandon, and they're going to try their hardest to pretend it was somebody else that did it. It's not going to work that way, obviously, because any and all legal bills dealing with Ware's law firm and Joshi and Pam Moore and the rest of them, and that's clearly on the imposters. And as I've been saying for a long time, they are going to blow through that money like they have in their personal lives and bankrupt this place faster than you can imagine, if the court, understandably can't rule now, but the longer that Lordon and them continue to collude. The good news is I will fight to get it back, as I've done before and proven I can, and I will. And if we go after people's homes, if we have to go after people's businesses, everything's in play. So those of you who asked me, well, what are we going to do, when we get it back? Well, we're going to immediately focus on the lines of businesses that they've lost and getting those back up and operating, and the income's coming in, as well as ensuring that the imposters pay, because that has to happen. We have to go back and get that money. And literally, it's just another battle. It's the same thing in the Rappaport case. We have to go get our money there, and we're going to have to go get our money from GPL, who's horribly lost their case, and now their attorneys are too scared to depose me. And now I don't think they want all the emails that Zachary Levine had and gave them, or I don't even think they want to bring it up into court. And they've got a compliant and submissive law firm called Tyson Mendez, who's bowing to Attain's wishes and trying to get a settlement out of this. I just don't think that the court's going to be that willing. And I think that there's people in the judicial system who have a real keen understanding of what's going on and who's involved and the reasons why. Again, all of this started over just getting, little David Smith and his minions out of our club, which belongs to us. And a pretty simple, at one point it was just 1.2 million. He's probably approaching that in lawyer's fees, but it's tough. I get it. You underestimate the person that you're up against, as many have, and you make the same mistake over and over, and before you know it, as I've tried to do all the time, is give a very, very, very fair offer initially, and it was turned down. And at least from a financial perspective, independent, it doesn't make sense. But when you look into all of the laundering and embezzling and all of that stuff with regards to the restaurant, the liquor license, the sales ID, the dues, the RAA agreement, and all the other smoke and mirror type stuff, the leasing out of our offices and running shell companies out of there and all that stuff, it's a lot to give up when some no name, schlep from Old Salt comes in and tries to, square things away with you. I get it. That's a huge hit to the ego. Who the hell am I? I get it, all that. I totally understand it, but sometimes you've got to hopefully have people around you who are smart enough to know and to give guidance, and I'm thankful that I have that. Keep me on my toes, keep me level. So that's it, and I hope you all have a great week, great weekend, what's left of it, and stay safe. And any questions, feel free, send me an email. Most of you should have it. If not, comment below. And I look forward to seeing you guys. Take care and stay safe. Thank you.